Hey guys, tonight we're going to slow things down and sit with a story that matters. Marcus Hayes, a 52-year-old black Marine, carries the weight of service and loss, his heart set on watching his daughter Lena graduate. But in a crowded Ohio gym, prejudice rears its head, testing his quiet strength. This is about dignity under fire, about a father's love holding firm against injustice. Before we begin, please like the video and subscribe, but only if stories like this truly move you. Comment your city biome and the time you're watching. Now close your eyes or don't, it's your choice. Either way, you're about to witness something real. The late spring sun hangs low over Warren, Ohio, painting the sky in streaks of orange and gold. Elwood High School's parking lot buzzes with life minivans and sedans jockey for spots. Families spill out with balloons and homemade signs, and the air hums with anticipation. Marcus Hayes steps from his weathered Ford pickup, his marine dress blues pressed to perfection, each crease sharp as a blade. His boots gleam not from vanity, but from habit, a ritual of discipline etched into his bones. At 52, his frame is still broad, his posture unyielding, those silver threads, his close-cropped hair. He adjusts his cap, eyes scanning the red brick building ahead. This is Lena's day, his only child, the girl who's carried her mother's smile and his own stubborn will through 18 years. Marcus locks the truck, his calloused fingers brushing a small, frayed photo tucked in his jacket, a snapshot of Lena at 3 giggling in her mother's arms. Denise has been gone 5 years, taken by cancer, but her presence lingers in moments like this. "I'm here, baby," he murmurs. Not to the photo, but to the ache in his chest. He starts toward the gym, each step measured, his polished shoes clicking against the asphalt. The crowd parts slightly as he passes. Some nod in respect, others stare, a beat too long, their gazes snagging on his uniform, his skin the quiet authority he carries. Marcus notices but doesn't react. He's navigated these looks for decades on bases and diners at gas stations. They're as familiar as the weight of his service medals. Inside the gym is a chaos of noise and color. Folding chairs line the floor, bleachers groan under the weight of families, and the scent of popcorn from a concession stand mingles with floor wax. Banners drape the walls, Class of 2024 in bold blue letters. Marcus hands his ticket to a harried volunteer, a young woman with a clipboard. "Third row left," she says, barely looking up. "Family seating," he nods, his voice low. "Appreciate it." The third row is close to the stage, a prime spot he reserved months ago. He settles into a plastic chair, its wobble forcing a slight adjustment. Around him, parents chatter, kids fidget, and a man spills coffee, muttering under his breath. Marcus sits still, hands resting on his thighs, eyes fixed on the stage where Lena will soon walk. He spots her across the gym, lined up with her classmates in a sea of blue gowns. Lena's tall like him, her braids pulled back, her honor cords gleaming red and white. She catches his eye and flashes a quick smile, nervous but proud. Marcus's chest tightens, a mix of joy and something sharper, grief, maybe for Denise, who should be here fussing over Lena's cap. He pushes the thought down, focusing on the moment. This is what he's driven 6 hours for, what he's held on to through long nights and longer deployments. Some truths linger, waiting to be unveiled. The ceremony begins. Pomp and circumstance fills the air, and the crowd rises. Marcus stands shoulders squared, his presence a silent salute. The national anthem follows, and he places a hand over his heart, though his stillness feels like enough. As the music fades, 2 security guards in black polos move down the aisle, their radios crackling. They're young mid-20s, one stocky with a buzz cut, the other lean chewing gum with a restless energy. Marcus notices them but doesn't shift. They stop beside him, the stocky one leaning in. "Sir, this section's for family only," he says, voice clipped. Marcus meets his gaze, calm but firm. "This is my seat. Third row left. Family section." He pulls the ticket from his pocket, holding it out. The guard glances at it, then away. "We got word it's full," he says, though the row has empty chairs. Marcus's jaw tightens, but his voice stays even. "It was full when I sat down. Who's saying otherwise?" The lean guard steps closer, his gum snapping. "Look, no need for a problem. There's seats in the back." The word "back" lands heavy, laced with something uglier than logistics. A few heads turn. A woman nearby whispers to her husband, her eyes flicking to Marcus. The air shifts thick with unspoken tension. Marcus's fingers curl slightly, but he keeps his seat. "I'm here for my daughter," he says, each word deliberate. "I'm not moving." The stocky guard's face hardens. Sir, don't make this harder than it needs to be. Marcus's eyes narrow not with anger, but with a quiet calculation forged in places far harsher than this gym. He's faced worse than two guards with egos deserts gunfire loss. But this moment, this slight cuts deep, a reminder of battles fought off the battlefield. The guards don't back off. The lean one mutters into his radio, his voice low but sharp. We got a situation here. Marcus sits straighter, his uniform a second skin, a shield. He thinks of Lena watching from the stage, her pride at stake as much as his. He won't let this moment steal her day. But the guard's presence looms their challenge, public now, drawing more eyes. A man in the bleachers shifts his posture, changing subtle, but Marcus clocks it. Another figure across the gym adjusts his stance. They're out there, his brothers, though he doesn't look. Not yet. The crowd's murmurs grow a low hum of curiosity and discomfort. The ceremony continues, names called, polite claps, but the third row is its own world now, a stage for a different kind of drama. Marcus's heart beats steady, his face a mask of calm. He's not here for a fight, but he won't yield. The photo in his pocket presses against his chest, a tether to why he's here. Some truths linger waiting to be unveiled. The stocky guard leans closer, his breath sour with coffee. Last chance, sir. Move, or we escalate. Marcus's silence is his answer, a wall of dignity no badge can breach. The gym's noise fades the moment, stretching taut, ready to snap. Something's coming. Marcus feels it like the calm before a storm. He doesn't know how it'll unfold, but he knows one thing: he's not leaving this seat. The gym at Elwood High pulses with the rhythm of a graduation in full swing, but for Marcus Hayes, the third row feels like a battlefield. The air hums with the faint buzz of fluorescent lights and unspoken prejudice. The crowds chatter a distant roar. Marcus sits rigid in his plastic chair, his marine dress blues, a stark contrast to the casual polos of the two security guards looming over him, the stocky one badge reading T. Carver grips his radio, his buzz-cut head glinting under the lights. His partner Jay Reese chews his gum with a smirk, leaning in too close. You're making this a problem, Reese says, voice low but sharp. Marcus's eyes stay forward, locked on the stage where Lena stands among her classmates, her blue gown swaying slightly. He won't let these men steal her moment, but the weight of their challenge presses against his chest, heavy as the frayed photo of Denise and Lena tucked inside his jacket. Carver shifts his weight, his hand hovering near his belt. We told you this section's full. Back row's open. The lie is flimsy, empty chairs dot the row, but Marcus knows this isn't about space. It's about the color of his skin, the audacity of his presence in a uniform that demands respect they refuse to give. He pulls the ticket from his pocket and again holding it steady. This says third row left. I'm exactly where I belong. His voice is calm, each word a stone dropped into still water, rippling through the nearby crowd. A woman 2 rows back leans forward, her brow furrowed, whispering to her daughter. A man in a polo shirt nudges his wife, nodding toward Marcus. The gym's energy shifts, eyes drifting from the stage to the standoff. Reese snaps his gum louder now. Don't play the hero, man, just move. Marcus's fingers curl slightly, but he keeps his seat, his face a mask of restraint. He's faced worse ambushes in dusty valleys, orders barked in chaos, but this moment stings differently. It's personal, a public slight meant to shrink him in front of Lena, in front of everyone. He thinks of Denise, how she'd have stood up, voice sharp, defending him. But Marcus chooses silence, his dignity a shield. Some truths linger, waiting to be unveiled. The ceremony rolls on, names echoing through the gym, but the third row is its own universe. Lena glances from the stage, her smile faltering as she spots the guards. Marcus catches her look, his heart twisting. She's too far to hear, but he knows she feels the tension, the same way she did as a kid, when a teacher dismissed her potential or a neighbor crossed the street to avoid them. He straightens, willing her to focus on her moment, not this. Carver mutters into his radio, need backup third row, his tone clipped. The word backup lands like a slap, drawing gasps from nearby parents. A teenager in the bleachers pulls out a phone, angling it subtly. Marcus senses the video starting, the moment crystallizing into something permanent. A new figure appears at the aisle's edge, a school official, a middle-aged woman in a blazer, her walkie-talkie crackling. She hesitates, eyes darting between Marcus and the guards. What's going on here, she asks, voice tight. Carver straightens, gesturing at Marcus. He's in the wrong section, won't move. Marcus holds up his ticket again, his gaze steady on the official. "This is my seat, ma'am. I'm here for my daughter, Lena Hayes." The woman blinks, caught off guard by his calm, then glances at the ticket. Her lips part, but before she can speak, Reese cuts in. "We're handling it. Back seats are fine for him." The word fine drips with condescension, and the crowd's murmurs grow louder. A man in a flannel shirt stands in the bleachers, arms crossed, his stare fixed on the guards. Marcus clocks him tall, broad, with the steady posture of someone who's seen conflict. Another figure shifts in the far corner, a lean man in a dark jacket, his eyes sharp. They're out there, his brothers watching, waiting. Marcus doesn't look, but their presence is a pulse in his veins, a reminder of bonds forged in fire. He served with them in Fallujah, carried them through blood and dust. They're here now, though he didn't ask. The official fumbles, her voice rising. "Let's keep this calm, okay? No need for a scene." Marcus's jaw tightens, but he speaks softly. "I'm not the one making a scene, ma'am. The truth hangs in the air, undeniable." Carver's face reddens, his hand dropping to his belt. Again, fingers brushing the radio. "You're pushing it," he snaps. Marcus doesn't flinch, his silence louder than any retort. He thinks of Lena, her pride, her future. This isn't just about a seat. It's about every time he's been told to step aside, to wait, to accept less. Not today. The crowd's attention splits, some watching the stage, others glued to the third row. A girl's name is called, and claps ripple, but they're half-hearted near Marcus. A woman beside him, older with silver hair, leans close. "You stay right there, Han," she whispers, her voice fierce. Marcus nods once, gratitude flickering in his chest. The guards don't move, their presence a challenge, a dare. Reese leans in, his voice a hiss. "You think that uniform means anything here? This ain't the military." Marcus's eyes meet his, steady, unyielding. "It means I know my place. Do you?" The jab lands, and Reese steps back, rattled. Carver grabs his arm, muttering, "Cool it." But the tension is a living thing now, coiling tighter. The official hovers, her walkie-talkie buzzing with static. She's out of her depth, and everyone knows it. Marcus sits, his hands resting on his thighs, the photo in his jacket, a quiet anchor. He's not here for a fight, but he's ready for whatever comes. The gym's noise fades, the moment narrowing to this row, this challenge, this father's resolve. Some truths linger, waiting to be unveiled. Across the gym, another figure adjusts his stance, a subtle shift only Marcus would notice. The air feels charged, like the moment before lightning. The guards don't see it yet, but something's building, something bigger than their badges or their egos. Marcus exhales, slow and steady, his heart a drumbeat of patience. Lena's name is closer now, her moment approaching. He won't let this break him or her. The gym at Elwood High vibrates with the cadence of graduation, but the third row remains a crucible of tension. Marcus Hayes sits unyielding, his marine dress blues, a beacon amidst the sea of casual attire. The air is thick with the scent of popcorn and the low hum of prejudice, the crowd's whispers weaving a net around him. Security guards Carver and Reese hover, their black polos taut with frustration. Carver's hand twitches near his radio, his buzz-cut head gleaming with sweat. "You're making this a spectacle," he growls, voice barely masking his anger. Marcus's eyes stay fixed on the stage where Lena stands among her classmates, her blue gown catching the light. Her gaze flickers toward him, a mix of pride and fear, and Marcus's heart clenches. He won't let this moment tarnish her day, but the guard's persistence is a blade against his dignity, the frayed photo of Denise and Lena in his jacket, a silent tether to his resolve. Reese steps closer, his gums snapping like a whip. "You're not special, man. Move to the back, or we'll drag you." The threat lands heavy, drawing sharp breaths from nearby parents. A woman in a floral dress clutches her program. Her eyes wide, Marcus's fingers tighten on his thighs, but his face remains a mask of calm. "I'm here for my daughter," he says, voice low, steady, a riverbed unmoved by the storm. He's faced worse nights in Fallujah, the weight of loss, but this public shaming, this attempt to erase his place, burns deep. He thinks of Lena, watching her future hanging in the balance. Some truths linger, waiting to be unveiled. The school official, Ms. Larson, lingers nearby, her blazer, wrinkled from nervous fidgeting. "Gentlemen, please," she says, her voice thin. "Let's not disrupt the ceremony." Carver ignores her, leaning in, his breath hot. "You think you're above the rules? This ain't your parade." Marcus meets his gaze, unflinching. "I'm following the rules. Check my ticket. He holds it out again, the paper creased but clear. Larson takes it, her hands trembling, and nods. It's valid, she murmurs, but Carver waves her off. Doesn't matter, he's causing a disturbance. The word disturbance ripples through the crowd, igniting murmurs. A man in the bleachers, broad-shouldered, stands slowly, his eyes locked on the guards. Another figure in a dark jacket shifts in the far corner, his posture taut. Marcus senses them, his brothers from Fallujah. Their presence, a quiet pulse. He doesn't look, but their weight anchors him. The gym's noise fades the ceremony, a distant hum as names are called. Lena's classmates shuffle forward, but her eyes stay on Marcus, her lips parting as if to speak. He shakes his head slightly, willing her to stay focused to claim her moment. Carver's radio crackles and he barks into it. Send someone now. The crowd stirs a teenager in the bleachers, angling her phone, capturing the scene. Marcus's jaw tightens, not from fear, but from the sting of being reduced to a spectacle. He thinks of Denise, how she'd have marched to the principal demanding answers. But Marcus chooses restraint, his silence a fortress. A woman beside him, silver-haired, grips her purse. This is wrong, she whispers loud enough for others to hear. Marcus nods, gratitude flickering, but his focus remains on Lena. Reese leans in, his voice a hiss. You're embarrassing yourself, last chance. Marcus's eyes narrow, his voice dropping to a near whisper. You're the one embarrassing this town. The jab lands, and Reese flinches, his smirk faltering. Carver grabs his arm, muttering, don't let him get to you. But the tension is a coiled spring, ready to snap. The crowd's murmurs grow bolder, some parents standing now, their faces a mix of outrage and curiosity. A girl's name is called, but the applause is scattered, the gym's heart elsewhere. Larson tries again, her voice cracking. Please, let's resolve this quietly. Marcus speaks, his tone even but firm. I'm resolved, ma'am. I'm staying. The truth cuts through the noise, and Larson hesitates, caught between protocol and justice. Carver's face reddens, his hand dropping to his belt, fingers brushing the radio like a weapon. You're done, he snaps, stepping so close his shadow falls over Marcus. The crowd gasps, a collective intake of breath. Marcus doesn't move, his stillness, a defiance louder than any shout. He thinks of Lena, her pride, her future, and the photo in his pocket, a reminder of what he's fighting for. Across the gym, another figure rises, his movements deliberate. Marcus feels it, the air shifting like the moment before a storm breaks. His brothers are there, watching their loyalty a silent vow. The guards don't see it, their focus narrowed to Marcus, their egos blinding them to the gathering force. Lena's name is closer now, her moment approaching, and Marcus's heart beats steady, a drum of patience. He's not here to win a fight, but to hold his ground for her, for himself, for every time he's been told to step aside. The ceremony presses on, but the third row is a world apart, a stage for a deeper drama. The crowd's eyes split between the graduates and Marcus, their whispers a chorus of unease. Some truths linger, waiting to be unveiled. Carver's radio buzzes again, and he smirks, thinking help is coming. But Marcus knows better. Something bigger is stirring, something the guards can't predict. He sits unbowed, the photo in his jacket, a quiet flame burning for Lena, for justice, for the moment when silence will speak loudest. The gym at Elwood High thrums with the pulse of a graduation teetering on the edge of chaos. Marcus Hayes sits like a pillar in the third row, his marine dress blues, a silent rebuke to the storm swirling around him. The air crackles with tension, thick with the scent of popcorn, and the weight of prejudice laid bare. Security guards Carver and Reese stand over him, their black polos taut, their faces flushed with the arrogance of unchallenged authority. Carver's hand hovers near his radio, his bees-cut head slick with sweat. You're done here, he hisses, his voice a blade meant to cut Marcus down. Reese, gums snapping, leans in, his smirk venomous. Time's up, old man. Marcus's eyes stay locked on the stage where Lena stands among her classmates, her blue gown trembling slightly as she watches. Her fear pierces him, but his face remains a mask of calm, the frayed photo of Denise and Lena in his jacket, a steady flame against his heart. He won't break, not for them, not today. The crowd's murmurs swell a restless tide. Parents shift in their seats, some clutching programs, others whispering fiercely. A teenager's phone glints in the bleachers, recording the standoff. Ms. Larson, the school official, hovers nearby, her blazer crumpled, her walkie-talkie buzzing uselessly. Please, gentlemen, she stammers, let's not ruin the ceremony. Carver ignores her, stepping closer to Marcus, his shadow swallowing the light. Stand up or we'll make you. He snaps his hand, dropping to his belt, fingers brushing the radio like a threat. Marcus's fingers curl, but his voice is steel. You don't have that kind of power. The words land like a gavel, and Carver flinches, his bravado cracking. Reese mutters, you're nobody here, but his voice wavers, betraying doubt. Lena's eyes meet Marcus's from the stage, her lips parting in silent plea. He nods once, subtle, willing her to hold her pride. The gym's noise fades the ceremony, a distant hum as names are called, but the third row is a crucible burning with injustice. Marcus thinks of Denise, her fierce love, her voice that never backed down. He chooses silence, his dignity a fortress. But the guards' aggression escalates, their egos blind to the shifting air. Some truths linger, waiting to be unveiled. Then it happens. A figure rises in the bleachers, broad-shouldered, his flannel shirt taut over a frame honed by conflict, his eyes sharp as flintlock on Carver. Another man stands across the gym, lean in a dark jacket, his posture unyielding. A third rises near the aisle, then a fourth, a fifth. 5 men scattered but synchronize their movements, deliberate, silent. The crowd hushes, a collective breath held. Marcus doesn't look, but he feels them, his brothers from Fallujah, their loyalty a pulse in his veins. They served together, bled together, carried each other through hell. Now they stand not for drama, but for him, their presence a wall no badge can breach. Carver freezes his hand, stalling midair. Reese's gum stops snapping, his smirk vanishing. The gym's energy shifts, the air charged like the moment before lightning. A woman in a floral dress gasps, her program falling. A father stands, then another, their eyes darting between Marcus and the men. Ms. Larson's walkie-talkie crackles, but she's mute, her authority dwarfed by the silent force unfolding. The 5 Marines, nameless to the crowd but eternal to Marcus, don't speak, don't gesture. They simply stand, their gazes steady, their stillness a command. The crowd feels it, a weight beyond words, a respect that silences even the loudest whispers. Carver's face burns, his radio forgotten. He glances at Reese, who steps back, his bravado crumbling. What the hell is this? Reese mutters, but no one answers. The principal, a gray-haired man in a suit, hurries down the aisle, his face pale. Enough, he whispers to Carver, his voice urgent. Back off. Now, Carver hesitates, his ego warring with the truth he's outmatched, not by force but by honor. The crowd watches, transfixed, as the guards retreat, their steps heavy, their authority shattered. Marcus sits unbowed, his eyes still on Lena, who clutches her gown, tears brimming, but chin high. The ceremony resumes, a name called applause, scattered but growing. The 5 Marines remain standing, their presence, a quiet vow. Marcus's heart steadies, the photo in his pocket, a beacon. He thinks of Fallujah, the dust, the blood, the men who never left his side. They're here now, not for glory, but for justice, their silence louder than any shout. The crowd's murmurs soften, replaced by a new rhythm. Respect, not pity. Lena's name is near her moment, rising, and Marcus knows this victory isn't his alone. It's hers, Denise's, and every soul who's ever been told to move to the back. The gym's lights catch the sheen of Marcus's uniform, a symbol unbroken. The guards slink to the exit, their heads low, their power dissolved. Some truths linger, waiting to be unveiled, and tonight they burn bright, a flame no prejudice can snuff. Lena steps forward in line, her eyes finding Marcus again, and he nods, a promise kept. The crowd feels it too, a shift towards something real, something right. The gym at Elwood High exhales as the graduation ceremony surges back to life, the tension of the third row dissolving into the swell of applause. Marcus Hayes sits, his marine dress blues, a quiet anchor amidst the chaos of balloons and banners. The air carries the fading scent of popcorn, now mingled with the warmth of shared triumph. The stage glows under golden lights, and Lena Hayes, tall and radiant in her blue gown, steps closer to her moment. Marcus's eyes never leave her. His heart a steady drumbeat of pride, the frayed photo of Denise and Lena in his jacket, a silent witness to this victory. The 5 Marines, his brothers from Fallujah, remain standing, scattered across the gym, their silent presence a vow fulfilled. The crowd stirred awake by the standoff claps with new vigor, their murmurs replaced by a rhythm of respect. The guards, Carver and Reese, are gone, their retreat a public surrender, their authority undone by the weight of honor they couldn't comprehend. Ms. Larson, the school official, lingers near the aisle, her blazer sagging, her walkie-talkie silent. The principal, still pale, returns to the stage, his voice steadier as he calls the next name. But the gym has changed, its heart beats differently now, awakened by a moment of injustice met with quiet strength. Marcus sits, hands resting on his thighs, his face calm but alive with the knowledge that Lena saw it all. She saw her father unbowed, saw the men who stood for him, saw dignity, triumph over prejudice. Some truths linger, waiting to be unveiled, and tonight they shine. Lena's name is called Lena Denise Hayes, and the gym erupts. The applause is no longer polite. It's a roar, deep and deliberate, led by the 5 Marines whose hands clap in unison, a salute without gesture. Marcus leans forward, his chest tight, not with grief, but with release. Lena walks across the stage, her braids catching the light, her honor cords gleaming. She shakes the principal's hand, her smile wide, her mother's smile, but her eyes find Marcus. Their gaze locks a silent conversation. "I saw you, Dad. I'm proud." Marcus nods, the smallest smile breaking his calm, a promise kept. The crowd feels it, some standing, others wiping eyes, caught in a moment that transcends diplomas. The ceremony presses on, names blurring into a joyous hum, but Marcus's world is Lena crossing the stage, claiming her future. He thinks of Denise, how she'd have cried, laughed, fixed Lena's gown a dozen times. The photo in his pocket feels warm, a bridge to her memory, a reminder of why he held his ground. The Marines remain standing, their presence, a quiet echo of Fallujah, where loyalty was forged in blood and dust. They don't seek attention, but the crowd notices their respect, a tide that lifts the room. As the final name is called, the graduates throw their caps, a cascade of blue, against the gym's rafters. Cheers erupt, phones flash, and balloons bob above the chaos. Marcus rises slowly, his boots steady on the polished floor. The crowd thins, families spilling toward the exits, but he waits, letting the moment settle. Lena weaves through her classmates, high-fiving a friend, hugging a teacher, but her eyes keep finding him. The 5 Marines move toward the back, their steps unhurried, their work done. One, the broad-shouldered man in flannel, pauses, meeting Marcus's gaze. A nod passes between them. Not gratitude, but recognition. A bond unbroken. Outside, the Ohio sunset paints the sky in hues of amber, and rows the parking lot alive with laughter and car horns. Marcus steps into the warm air, his uniform catching the light. Lena breaks free from her friends, her gown half unzipped, her diploma clutched tight. They meet near the flagpole, the crowd fading into the background. "Dad," she says, voice thick, "you okay?" Marcus nods, his hand finding her shoulder. "You okay?" Lena's eyes glisten, but she grins. "Better than okay, I saw everything." Her voice cracks, pride and fire mingling. "They tried to move you and you just stayed." Marcus's smile softens. "Had to, baby. For you." Lena steps closer, her arms wrapping around him, her diploma pressing against his back. The hug is fierce, a reclaiming of this day. "Those men," she whispers, "who were they?" Marcus glances toward the lot where the Marines are climbing into their cars, their silhouettes sharp against the sunset. "Brothers," he says simply, "men who know what loyalty means." Lena nods, her face serious, absorbing the weight of his words. They walk to the Ford pickup, the same one Denise drove to Lena's piano recitals, its paint chipped but proud. Marcus unlocks it, pausing as Lena runs her fingers along the door, a scratch catching her nail. "Mom would have been screaming," she says, voice soft, loudest in the room. Marcus chuckles, the sound warm. "And fixing your cap every 5 seconds. They climb in the cab, a cocoon, the world outside distant. Lena turns to him, her gown rustling. "Why didn't you fight back? You could have shut them down." Marcus taps the steering wheel, his eyes on the horizon. "Because fighting's easy, Lena. Standing firm, staying true, that's what lasts. They wanted me to react, to give them a reason. I gave them silence instead." Lena leans back, chewing on that. "Everyone saw it," she says. "The whole gym knew they were wrong." Marcus nods. "And they saw you walk that stage. That's what they'll remember." He pulls the photo from his jacket, unfolding it gently. Lena's baby face beams beside Denise's, a moment frozen in time. "Carried this through worse days than today," he says. "It's not strength, it's purpose." Lena's voice drops reverent. "You always had people, didn't you? People who'd show up." Marcus starts the engine, the rumble steady. "Real ones don't need asking. They just stand." The truck pulls out, the school fading behind them, but the memory of this night burns bright, a beacon for Lena. For Marcus, for anyone who witnessed it. In a nation built on second chances, where prejudice still lingers like a shadow, Marcus's silence spoke louder than any shout. His dignity, his brother's loyalty, Lena's pride, they wove a truth that won't fade, a quiet victory that echoes beyond the gym's walls. Some truths linger unveiled at last, and they carry the weight of justice, of honor, of a father's love unbroken.